Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 7 a.m. It is Monday, May 27th. Yes, the best day of the week, Monday. Let's get it started. Let's get it popping in here. Welcome to the channel, like I said. And if you've been with me since the NFL season, since this thing all started up midway through the NFL season, this channel, thank you for that journey. I mean, that's awesome for you being here that long. But also, we're going to do something that I did during that time, a first look. So, NBA. First $1 million prize, I think. First $1 million showdown, first $1 million, just anything for NBA to first $1 million to first place prize here. And I think that we're going to do a first look at it, right? I'm going to do the breakdown probably later in the week on Wednesday because I want to really take this one seriously because I don't think they're going to do $1 million for every single day. They'll probably do 200,000 or something, an increased prize, but not $1 million. This is a huge promotion for them that they've been running for a month. They're not going to do it every single day, or maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, let's break it down from a first look standpoint. I'll tell you exactly what I think we're going to need going into the series, what I think the salaries are, everything. I have not looked at it until right now, opening this up and looking at it over my shoulder while I'm talking, briefly peeking, and that's about it. So thank you if you're new to the channel. I cover daily fantasy sports from really all angles, as many as I can as a one-man show here, and doing this really as sort of a side hustle right after college, and it's been incredible trying to turn it into a career, and it's just really been fueled nicely, and I love doing this every single day. Yesterday I took the day off, went to the beach, and honestly I had fun, tons of fun with my girlfriend at the beach, went to Belmar, did the whole Playa Bowls thing, 80-something degrees, it was beautiful, but I wanted to be making videos as well. That's how much I love this. So even when I'm enjoying my time, taking a little vacation, I still want to do this. So thank you for everybody for giving me the ability to do this, that there's actually people out there who find this meaningful. So I greatly appreciate that. Hit the like button if you can, and if at any point during the video, if you're not already subscribed, if you do get some sort of value, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. For everybody watching this, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. I go live a decent amount of times. I'm going to be going live before probably Wednesday night and Thursday night for this $1 million showdown. So hit the notification bell to let you know when I go live. It'll let you know when I'm just posting a video like this one here. So appreciate it. Let's break down into this video. And we'll start out by just looking at the salaries and also give a shout out to Draft Dashboard. So Draft Dashboard, they're sponsoring us through all NBA videos until the finals are over. So yes, we still have Draft Dashboard here, and I've been using it for also making lineups just to see, take my own biases out. For the showdown, it's really hard to have biases, but I think they're still there. But also other sports like MLB, WNBA is on the way. They have some stuff for WNBA on the site. Pretty good tool for WNBA. There's not a lot of tools out there for WNBA. So if you're somebody trying to bink these WNBA tournaments, which are very profitable, or lucrative, I should say, check out Draft Dashboard for that. Check it out. The NFL season coming. They have a lineup optimizer. They have a ton of research tools on there. Ownerships, projections. Check out Draft Dashboard right now. If you're like, what is Draft Dashboard? Is this just another ad? Right now, 30 days down below for $1. You can check it out in the link down below for that promo code. So yeah, check it out. Let's get into it now. So 9 o'clock Thursday, right? We got to wait a couple days here. So we're doing this first look. Like I said, Wednesday I'll be doing the breakdown video. And wow. So this is my first time looking at it. I'm literally getting a first impression on camera. I thought this went over really well for the NFL. I would do it on Mondays. I would do a first look at the salaries and then try and build a lineup. Now, I mean, I could try and build a lineup, and I probably will for the showdown, but don't go and take that lineup and say, what the heck, Sal, your pick stunk. Now, I'm not trying to give out picks, one. I'm trying to give my opinions. And this is a first look. This is the first time I'm looking at it. So just like your first time looking at it when you just tinker around, you don't probably use those lineups, or maybe you do. So looking at it right off first look here, Kawhi being the most expensive guy makes a lot of sense. Now, KD, it says he's questionable. Cousins, Iggy, all these guys are questionable. So obviously keep an eye on the injury news. I don't have to tell you that. Most likely by Wednesday we'll have an upgraded take on that. It says that Cousins, or at least they said he probably wasn't going to be playing in the first game of this. They said he likely can return, but did not seem like the first game. Same thing for Durant. Let's just see. Yeah, still not taking part in on-court activities, unlikely to play at the start of 2019. Yeah, so these guys probably aren't going to be in there. So, I mean, for the betting crown, I saw Steph was the favorite for betting. That means, obviously, because his team's the favorite. If LeBron did not win the Finals MVP a couple of years ago when he just went absolutely berserk with a garbage team against Golden State, playing like 46 minutes a game, then there's no way Kawhi can win it. And if so, then just go back and give LeBron, crown him that MVP as well. So the idea here is that if the Warriors are going to win this series, which they very well probably should, kind of easily, 6 games, I'll give it, if not easily in 5. So it's going to be Steph or Draymond, you imagine. So I like Draymond as a 10-1 bet in Vegas, and this has nothing to do with DFS if you're a bettor. Steph's like 2-3, so you're just not getting really any EQ, any type of, or EV there, expected value. Obviously, it's going to be between probably Steph and Draymond if indeed this team wins. Or if KD comes back game 2, you're going to get great odds 10-1 on him. So that's just a little thing I saw on Twitter. I was talking to some people about it. So you have 5 guys in the 10K range. Holy cow. So Durant's probably not playable, at least for game 1, so what we're looking at here. So that makes it easier. Cousins is probably not playable. Keep an eye on Iggy. That's going to impact some value pieces for Golden State, of course. And then obviously Iggy's value as well. 6,600 seems a little bit steep for him, but I imagine he stays out there for Kawhi. Iggy's defense is if Iggy is back, he's probably going to be a pretty decent play. And again, this is all first look, this is all first take. He's probably going to be a pretty decent play because he's 6,600 and he might be forced to go out there for 36, 38 minutes even and stay on Kawhi. I don't think that they really have. They're not going to put Clay on Kawhi, and if they do, it won't be for that much time. Draymond on Kawhi makes some sense, right? But not that much sense. It's a terrible matchup for Draymond. Really, anybody is. Iggy is the guy who should be defending, just like he defended LeBron in those finals. So keep an eye. That's a big thing if Iggy is back. Obviously, Kawhi's impact does not go down too much, but it increases Iggy. And yeah, it does mean that other guys on the team not having like Draymond or Clay having to guard Kawhi as much, it gives them their stock a little bit of a boost. So starting with Kawhi at 11.8, look, he seems like off first look needed, but I don't think in the captain spot. The fact that these prices, at least what I'm seeing, not even just for $10,000 players. You have Siakam at 9, you have Clay at 84. Clay at 84 seems pretty nice, but then you have guys who I'm going down here, and the pricing is just seeming tight. And yeah, we're looking at it from the utility standpoint. So $4,800 Kevon Looney seems nice. Serge Ibaka at 42, and we'll talk about that a little bit more because I'm curious to see what the Raptors do at center for this series. And you have guys down here who are pretty decently priced. McKinney at 28. Jordan Bell, who's been seeing around 15 minutes with Durant out and Boogie out, $2,000. So nice guys in the low end, but for the top end, it's really competitive pricing. And really, you're going to have to leave out a stud or probably two. The idea of trying to get Leonard, Steph, and Draymond into your lineups, for me, makes a lot of sense. I think that Steph and Draymond are going to be incredible this series, just like they were for the final 3 or 4 games in that last series. And then I don't have to tell you too much about Kawhi Leonard if you've been watching anything or not even a fan of the NBA, just been watching SportsCenter or have your notifications on. He's probably the guy who's been blowing it up the most. He's the third player ever with Jason Kidd, with LeBron, to get to the finals and lead their team in scoring in the first year there. That's pretty damn impressive, especially when you take into account where we had Kawhi sort of before this playoff started. As a great player, but was he overrated? Was he a guy who can lead a team to the finals? Yeah, he's very much that, and it seems like he can do that whenever he wants now. So the idea of going with a Kawhi captain, I really don't think it, at least this early, it's viable, probably because he can go out there and score you another 65. They're at home. Another thing that's really interesting is the Raptors at the end of the regular season, if you remember this, we talked about it a little bit during those end of the NBA breakdowns. They played their players those final couple of games when everybody else was sitting theirs. And they said, well, we want to play our players because, and they didn't really kind of, I guess, say it, but a couple of beat writers were speculating, because if we go to the finals, we will have home field or home court advantage over Golden State. So that's why they're the favorite. That's why they're the favorite here in terms of not, I guess, 4 home games. So they have home court advantage. Still not the favorite, but yeah, that's a pretty big boost for the Raptors when their home court advantage is pretty damn good. When you have Drake out there bringing the entire city of Toronto to the games and outside or whatever it might be. So that's why, if you're curious, like, damn, how did Toronto do that? They played their players the last 2 to 3 games of the year when everybody else was putting in subs. They won the games easily, and then Golden State sat their players, lost a game or two, and then they couldn't get back. So that's what happens. So good for the Raptors there, but putting Kawhi here, you get 6,460 left. This doesn't seem that viable because, look, most slates it would, but when you're telling me that there's 2 other guys in the 10K range that I want both of them, and if not both, one, and then I don't want to fill out my lineup with just garbage, like Steph and Draymond. So here's the thing. Kawhi, Steph, and Draymond. I imagine 2 of those 3 are needed. And based on the pricing, you should imagine that too. Now, there's things that can get a little bit wonky, and maybe it's a Klay Thompson goes off and Steph's not as much needed, and Siakam gets the best of Draymond or whatever it might be. Okay, so that's reasonable as well. But getting all 3 of these guys in your lineup leaves you with $3,000 left. So what are you really doing here? You're searching for trash, really. You could put Jordan Bell in, you might see 15 minutes a game. If Iggy's out, you could put McKinney in because he'll be playing there. And how do we get another Raptor? And I don't want that many. I mean, and here's the other thing. You put in now whoever, Danny Green, Fred VanVleet, he's been seeing 30 minutes a game, shooting well. They're going to need shooters in the series. But you're leaving $100 on the table. So a couple of things, and I'll probably make a video tomorrow reinforcing my stances on Showdown and just strategies around them. There's a downloads down below for free. It talks about it from an NFL standpoint for Showdown. There's strategy guides. It might talk about it from an NBA. There's an NBA-only strategy guide. It might be in there, but I'll make a video to reinforce it. So here's the thing. Don't look at this lineup right here. If you're not going to win $1 million if you play this lineup. I'm telling you that right now. You're not going to win $1 million. It's going to be very hard to win $1 million. But if you want to win $1 million, you can't leave $100 on the table. And you probably can't have Kawhi in the captain spot. Because if you have Kawhi in the captain spot, you're going to have to build an exact lineup like this one. Or if you want to leave money on the table, well, then go down and get Danny Green and leave $2,300. I think that's fine, but I don't think this lineup's optimal when you're telling me you're running out Jordan Bell, McKinney, and Danny Green. So For me right now, it's looking like not having one of these $10,000 players in the captain spot. But again, this can change once I do my projections. Haven't done any of that. So let's talk about just game flow and types of scripts, scenarios, and what can happen here. Because I think there's a couple of interesting things. So first off, I think that the way that Golden State has been playing these playoffs, and now it changed a little bit with the injury. They don't play as small, the Hamptons 5 with no KD out there. But we saw in the first series, JaMychal Green started starting at the 5. Zubac pretty much got erased. The second series, PJ Tucker was getting a ton of minutes at the 5, and you saw Clint Capella's minutes for half of those games, if not 65% of the time he was out there, 70%. He was getting reduction in his minutes compared to the regular season. Some games getting like 18 minutes, whatever it was during that series. Fast forward to this last series, and you have Enes Kanter, who's starting to get pulled off the court in those last couple of games, and they started Myers Leonard, who played pretty well. But they force your opponent to go small because you need guys out there who can score the ball, maybe play some defense, but defense just isn't needed against the Warriors when they're going to score from anywhere on the court at any time. You need guys who can score the ball. And Enes Kanter can score the ball, but, I mean, just a couple of things there. He's not a guy who's going to shoot the three. He's not a guy who's going to be all over the place in terms of scoring, and it just wasn't a great matchup overall when you downsize the Warriors lineup and you have Enes Kanter out there. Really, what is he doing out there? He's not needed. He's a defensive liability, this, that, and the other thing. So Marc Gasol would be the guy here in this series where it's like, well, they have to go small now. But I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't know how quick it happens. That didn't happen in game one for all these teams. Kanter played like 29, 30 minutes in game one against the Warriors. Same thing for Zubac. He played not 29, 30, but he played his normal amount of run. Same thing for Clint Capella. So game one, it's sort of like an adjustment. But Marc Gasol would be the guy who doesn't fit the script as those other centers. Zubac's the guy who's going to stand down by the line, have to get you rebounds, a couple of blocks, a couple of easy layups. He's not going to stand up by the three-point line, set screens, shoot threes, and make the threes. Same thing for Clint Capella. Same thing for Enes Kanter. Marc Gasol is a different type of center. He's one, great on defense, better than all three of those guys. Number two, he can shoot the three, and he can shoot it really, really well. And number three, he can actually get out and guard the line. Maybe not as well as Serge Ibaka getting out and guarding the line, but he can still guard the line. So I don't think you see, or maybe not as aggressively as those other series, the Raptors try and go completely small here because they are a big lineup when you have Leonard at the 3, Siakam the 4, Gasol or Ibaka at the 5. Regardless, they are a big lineup. So I don't know if you see them go small because Marc Gasol can shoot the 3 and he can shoot it really well. Same thing for Siakam. So these are not bigs that are just being stagnant and giving you minus EV, minus expected value in terms of their upside for 3-pointers and actually keeping you in a game with the Warriors. Not at all. Marc Gasol is the guy who I think is the center that you want. The ideal center would be a Marc Gasol. Would be probably like a Brook Lopez type guy with range, but Marc Gasol's range is right there. And unlike Brook Lopez, Marc Gasol can play really good defense and not just throw the ball at the backboard when he's in the paint and hope it goes in. He could actually do something with it post up. So yeah, I don't think that Gasol gets the biggest hit, at least not early on like we've seen in these past series. So that's one thing. And number two, and probably the most important thing for this series in figuring it out, because we don't have a sample size with KD being out and being in during the regular season, who does Kawhi Leonard guard? Because that's huge. Don't understate how important that is. Who does Kawhi Leonard guard? So, regular season, he was on KD a bunch. And I'm going to go back and look at those games, see where he spent the second most amount of his time. Was it on Draymond? Was it on Clay? I doubt it was on Clay, but was it? So, because Clay's just not moving around doing anything with the ball. So, it was mainly on KD, and now we don't have KD to start the series, at least not for the showdown. So who does Kawhi Leonard guard? Because we saw in the last series, when Kawhi came off of Middleton exploded, had a huge game. Yes, Kawhi Leonard is probably the best defender in the league. It's that simple. And when you put the best defender in the league, even on a superstar, and we saw with Giannis in those last 2 to 3 games of the last series, he can suffocate that guy. That guy will still get his sometimes, but not nearly as much of a ceiling. So if you're telling me that Kawhi might be guarding Draymond for this series, and that just, for me, doesn't add up because you have Pascal Siakam out there, a fine defender in his own right, and a guy who matches up probably a little bit better with Draymond. But if you're going to tell me that, because then who does Pascal Siakam play? Unless they go small and they put Pascal at the 5 and he's guarding Looney or whoever's starting out there, Bell, whoever it might be. Because I just don't see how, at least right now with the lineups that have been starting for these teams, how Kawhi would be guarding Draymond, because then it leaves Pascal and Gasol to just guard smaller players, which doesn't make too much sense. So it leads me to believe that Kawhi will be on Andre Iguodala if he plays, and then Alfonso McKinney if he starts, which just seems like a waste. But we'll see how it rolls out, because if Kawhi is guarding Draymond, and we really won't know this until the game tips off unless there's some kind of tip of the cap from a beat writer, then that crushes Draymond's value. At 10-6, I don't think I want Draymond. If you're telling me to enter one lineup, I have about 3 tickets to this, and I like to say that those tickets are free, but I think I entered like $1 or 25-cent contest to win these $25 tickets, so they weren't free, but I have 3 tickets, so I'm playing this. But if you're telling me that I have to predict the game flow. One of them might be that Kawhi guards Draymond during this series, or at least during this game until KD comes back, and that's gonna suffocate Draymond. Like, yeah, Draymond's not a scorer, so it leads me to believe that you're not gonna get Kawhi there because he likes to sort of take away scores. Draymond picks up the most of his fantasy production from potential triple doubles with his steals added into that. So getting your assists, rebounds from Draymond, then just get your dinky 10 to 15 points. And that's where Draymond gets his upside, his ceiling type games, when he can get those triple doubles, be all over the court, which is pretty much playoff Draymond night in and night out, what he's trying to do. So that's why it leads me to believe, okay, yeah, there's a chance Kawhi will guard Draymond, but he's not an offensive threat, right? He's everything else on the court. But if you stop that everything else, it's obviously going to hurt this Golden State team. So that's one thing. Who does Kawhi Leonard guard? I want to know. If you're still watching this, thank you. Let me know in the comments. Like the video. Let me know in the comments. Who do you think Kawhi guards here? If Iggy's in, I'm going to say Iggy at least to start. But I think Kawhi can guard any single player on this team, including Steph Curry. And yeah, it's a different type of matchup, but we just saw him guard Giannis. We've seen him guard LeBron. We've seen him guard KD this year, and he's really held them all down. So that's big for me. Who does he guard? So early on, who does Kawhi guard? I don't think Marc Gasol takes that hit from the centers playing smaller because he is a guy who can provide good and important defense, but also he can make threes, so he's not just standing out there. A couple other things is that I don't think it's viable, at least right now, to put the 10K guys in your captain spot. Now, obviously, if one of them goes for a 40-point game here, whether it be Kawhi, Steph, or Draymond goes for a triple-double, 20-point triple-double, then yeah, they probably will be needed in the captain, and some random guy is going to go off eventually, if not in this game sometime, and then that's going to be needed. But I sort of like getting your Kawhis, your Stephs. And here's the thing. You don't have to go Draymond Green. He's 10-6. I like the way he's been playing. A lot of people are going to be all over Draymond. But for $1,600 less, you're going to get Siakam playing just as many minutes. Yeah, he doesn't have the triple-double upside, but he has the 50-point upside that Draymond has pretty much every single night, the same exact type of upside. The same way that Draymond would be kind of fueling his points and maybe taking a little away from Steph would be the same thing that Siakam would be doing if he got to the 50 to 55-point range. It probably limits Leonard's 70-point ceiling. So if you do that, you have $5,400 left over to spend. And there's other ways you can go about this now. Now you have really freedom to do whatever you want. You can go to your $2,000 Jordan belts. Now you have $7,100 left. So yeah, you can get a decent-sized captain here. Can you fit a Clay in your captain at 12-6? No, you only have $1,600 left. You can be the guy who says, you know what, I'll just burn that money. I wouldn't go here because you're leaving $200 left and somebody's bound to have this lineup. And why do I want to split? So many ways. $1 million, you're splitting a lot more money at least, but there's so many more people in the field, that 117,000 people in the field. Look, you're not going to win this money anyways. You're not going to win it. You're not going to split for first. I'm just telling you that right now. But if you somehow do, or if you somehow do bank the million, you're not going to. We could do the math. 1 divided by 117,000. Sorry to crush your hopes. I'm not going to win this either, but I have some tickets, so why not throw them in here? Just throwing in a Damian Jones who probably plays 0 minutes but leaves you $600 left. Not many people are going to play a guy who's not going to play, but you are, because you say, you know what, maybe I can take a 0 and win this. I doubt it. I really do, but maybe. Here's the other thing. So that's just building a lineup this way. Do whatever you want after that. I'm probably at least leaning, and again, I have to look at my projections, but just if I want to get the studs in there, the guys that I like, which are Kawhi, Steph, in that order, like I want them to prioritize them in my lineups. And then, depending on what the defensive matchups look like, Draymond and Siakam are right after that for 3 and 4. The way that this is priced salary-wise is the way that I like it. I don't want to get cute. Klay Thompson at 8,400 utility spot is really interesting to me. Seeing that price, one, I love that price. This is a guy who's going to shoot so many times. Been shooting an average of over 20 times, 21, 22 times since KD went out. He's really getting an increase in his shots. He just has to shoot decent. And if he shoots 50%, he's going to go off. So Klay Thompson, if you tell me that Klay Thompson, or if you tell me that Siakam is going to be guarding a guy like, Draymond, and then you tell me that Lowry's going to be on your Steph Curry's, and then you tell me that I don't know where Siakam goes after that. Siakam will be on your Alfonso McKinney Iggy's, and then Marc Gasol's on your Jordan Bell / Looney's. And you're telling me that Fred VanVleet it would be Danny Green. He's been starting unless they change up the rotation. But Danny Green / Fred VanVleet is going to be on Klay. Well, I love that. And this is similar to sort of the Jimmy Butler treatment that we saw a couple of games ago. He was starting at the 3 against the Raptors, and he went off. So now Alfonso McKinney is no Jimmy Butler, so it leads me to believe that I wouldn't want to go there. But whoever is this guy who doesn't draw the Lowry, the Marc Gasol, the Siakam, the Leonard, and draws the Danny Green, is going to be in a great spot, or draws the Danny Green, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, or whatever the combination is of guys, because they all come in, it seems like, in the first quarter. is going to do great. So that could very well be Klay Thompson if Kawhi is on Draymond. If Kawhi is on your McKinney's, then that's off the charts. You can't go there. Kawhi could also be on Klay Thompson, though. So I don't know where this is going to go. Again, I have to go back. This is just first look. I want to look into the defensive matchups, not only KD versus Leonard during the regular season, which is what we saw and what we have seen in the past, but who he saw, primary defender after that, who Kawhi was on the most. So that's important. A lot of things are going to ride on that. Let's look into the value type range. So yeah, I do like Klay Thompson a lot. I think it is almost a priority to get your Kawhis and your Stephs into lineups. Steph can go cold though, and if Steph goes cold, then Draymond and Klay seem like a very good pivot off of Steph, especially on the road. So Marc Gasol, 6K, I think still too cheap. I don't know if he goes out in this game. Like I said, I would project that he doesn't. He doesn't see less time because of the size advantages and things like that. Andre Iguodala at 6,600. He most likely is the candidate to see Kawhi Leonard on him, at least to start this series. So I don't love that, but at least he'll be out there for extended run. 6,600 if he's going to have Kawhi on him at all. In either way, it seems a little bit too steep. Fred VanVleet, yes, seeing increased minutes, which is great. Very scoring dependent. And if he's going to continue to come off the bench and he's going to maybe have increased ownership now due to those minutes, I'm going to fade Fred VanVleet here. And this is just an early take. We'll see how things square up. But I don't want a guy coming off the bench in the finals where, yes, he has been seeing big minutes. They're trusting him, so his minutes are likely to stabilize, hopefully around 28 to 30 if you're playing him. But we saw in the last game, he could play 34 minutes, and if his shot's not falling, like hitting 7 threes 2 games ago, well, he's probably not needed at 19 fantasy points. And now he's 5,400 with ownership. I'd likely go away. I much prefer Kevon Looney for $600 less, seeing this right now. $4,800 Kevon Looney is a great play. It's a fantastic play. Looney hasn't even been starting, and he's been seeing right around 30 minutes and being very productive. I think the last 3 games averaging around 30 fantasy points a game. That's great. That's really good for a guy who's $4,800. That's potential. Put Looney in my captain at $4,800 and just ride out the studs and hope Looney can get to his ceiling 30 to 40 point game, and we're in a good spot. So yeah, $4,800 Looney seems like the obvious underpriced guy on this slate as of right now. The most underpriced guy that I've seen right now seems to be Looney. You can argue Klay Thompson at 8,400 taking 22 shots a game and many of them being three-pointers is underpriced. I'd say that that's fine. But it seems like the most underpriced guy is Looney. 4,800 is ridiculous for a guy who's going to see 30 minutes in this first game or right around there and be productive with them. Tough matchup, though. So if there's anything to go against Looney, it is the fact that this is the hardest matchup he's probably going to face all year, and he's going to have to face it for 7 games straight. And he can just get played right off the court. Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam, Leonard, all out there. It's a big team. It's a scary team. It's a great defensive team. The best that the Warriors have faced in the playoffs, the best that the Warriors will probably have faced all the year. Give or take. You have Utah and whoever else out there. So, yeah, Looney, 4,800. The price is great. We have to break down more into it. The defensive matchup is tough. Serge Ibaka would be the great play if indeed that Marc Gasol saw less time. You're not going to see Siakam seeing less time in this series. He is the second best player on the team. He needs to be out there. So the way that Ibaka gets on the court is if he just plays Marc Gasol off the court, or if Marc Gasol just gets played off the court because of the way that the Warriors play. But Serge Ibaka is going to come in and be another giant. He's going to be another big guy. You're not really playing smaller if you have Serge Ibaka out there compared to Marc Gasol. Maybe a little bit you are, but not too much. So no real interest, 4,200 Marc Gasol. $3,600 Norman Powell, not a ton of interest there, maybe a little bit because of the price. I would rather throw out and just hope for a guy who might play similar minutes in Danny Green to knock down his shots because he will be less owned. If you get Iguodala is out. If you get Andre Iguodala out, I believe Alfonso McKinney continues to start, and then that's when things get froggy. Because I don't know if they just stick Kawhi Leonard on a guy who already stinks and is like a 0.6 fantasy point per minute guy in Alfonso McKinney. That's when I think you might get Kawhi Leonard moving around. If Iggy starts, I probably think you get Kawhi on Iggy. Have to look more into it. So McKinney, I have interest in if Iggy is out because I think he might start with no treatment from a guy like Kawhi. The problem is he stinks. We talked about this the last game. He's going to have mega chalk at 2,800, and he's not a guy who, even if he plays 30 minutes, can do good in fantasy. And this literally came through. It made me look like a genius in the last game. He plays 26 minutes, he scores 15 points. Now, when he was at 2,800, which is right around what he's still at, that might be decent, right? Playing that much time and getting you 15 points, that might be enough. But if the whole entire 60, 70% of the field is playing him, it might not be. And there's a guy who's on his team who I like a little bit better. 2 guys, really. I mean, Sean Livingston to a little bit of an extent. But Jordan Bell, if Jordan Bell is going to start again and he's going to play 15 to 18 minutes at $2,000, that's great. Don't play Kevon Looney and Jordan Bell, or at least you shouldn't. Maybe in a showdown you can because it really doesn't matter. They can both get there. But for $2,000, Jordan Bell is another guy who I think is significantly underpriced. I think Jordan Bell should be probably closer to the $3,000 mark if you're telling me that that's where Danny Green resides and that's where Alfonso McKinney and even Sean Livingston's ahead of him. Jordan Bell, if he starts in this game 1 like he did the last game, he's a shoo-in for 15 minutes. And at the center position, yes, it is a brutal matchup. I get that. I understand that. But he's $2,000. So he's decent. Below that, really not much I care about. I know Quinn Cook should see 10 minutes. I know Jerebko should see 1,800. You can tell me, and maybe we can look into this. Maybe he starts Andrew Bogut. I don't think he sees increased run, but the fact that Toronto is so big, maybe instead of Toronto playing down to Golden State's pace, Golden State plays to Toronto's pace. But the fact that Golden State's the favorite here, they play in a way that really nobody can defend, and they force you to adjust to that, leads me to believe that you don't see much Andrew Bogut. So that's sort of his first look at this, guys and girls. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me know what you think about your first look thoughts. I think that Kawhi, Steph, Draymond are all guys that I want to get into my lineup if I'm trying to win $1 million, but I think a lot of people are. So how do you get different there? How do you leave money on the table, which is important? We'll talk about that in a showdown basics type of video for the NBA. And then just some other things. Who does Kawhi guard? If Andre Iguodala's in, I imagine it's at least him to start the series, and then that gets you a better feel for your Draymonds and your Clays. It makes you like them a little bit more. If he's not in Andre Iguodala, well, then McKinney probably starts, and I don't think they're going to just throw Kawhi Leonard on McKinney, a guy who already stinks and kind of stabilizes himself because he's so bad at shooting and just anything, really. So is that when you see Kawhi drift over to Draymond? Is that when you see Kawhi drift over to Clay, which makes me worry a little bit that maybe Clay gets isolated because you have Pascal out there to deal with your Draymonds, and Marc Gasol's out there. Speaking of Marc Gasol, to wrap it up, I think he stays on the court, at least to start the series like we've seen in the past. And he's not the stereotypical center like we've seen in the last 3 series. These guys, Zubac, Clint Capella, to an extent Clint Capella, and then last series, Enes Kanter, as the series went on, they got played off the court more and more because of the way the style of Golden State's offense, faster pace, hitting threes, not really needing to go down in the paint or go in the paint at all. But Marc Gasol's a guy who doesn't need to go in the paint at all either. He's great at defense, but he could also hit threes. So I don't know if he gets played off the court here. I think Looney, although it's a tough matchup, I think he is a great and underpriced play at 4,800. I like that more than Fred VanVleet. I think too many people will be on Fred VanVleet, and at least early on I'm fine fading that because he's a guy who, if he plays big minutes, he could still stink, and the minutes can very easily go down here for him depending on how they try and go. I don't think they will. Playing Golden State, you need shooters out there, but there's a good chance. Fred VanVleet at home I'd rather have as well, though. So that's where I'm at early on. First look. First time I saw these salaries at all. I reserved my entries with my tickets. That's about it. So let me know. What do you guys think? I'm excited. I'm excited about this $1 million. I know I'm not going to win. I already know I'm not going to win first place. I'm probably not even going to place for money. But I'm excited to see if somebody takes down all $1 million alone. It would have to be insane. The amount of lineup optimizers, not just people, the amount of lineup optimizers out there that are going to be leaving $2,000 plus on the table. So your only edge really for the normal person not entering max lineups is kind of gone. So it's almost impossible unless something really weird happens and a player gets hurt and somebody else who's in the 1K range comes in. It's so hard for me to realistically say that somebody's going to win $1 million or it's not going to be split at least 50 plus different ways. So I hope somebody wins $1 million. I hope if you win the $1 million and you're watching this, you donate back to the channel. Just $1. Just $1. All right, thank you so much. We're going to be doing Wednesday the breakdown video like we do with the projections for all these other showdown slates. I'll probably be doing a baseball video today, some other stuff, golf. Keep it coming for you guys and girls. So thank you. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.